Today, we are talking about how to be empoweredly submissive. And you're probably hoping for like some long spiel on like the step by step process to be submissive, but I'm actually going to tell you what's really going to work because, like I've said before, and I'm going to say it again, if you are trying to be the sub in your relationship or to be the feminine one or to let go of control or to surrender more, whatever it is that you're wanting to do in your life, we are really just essentially wanting to embody more of that femininity. If you're doing it with a rocky, shitty foundation, it's not going to stick. Think about it like this. I've been in my little gardening era, which I've very much been loving. And so if you are planting a beautiful, let's say, echinacea plant, I bought some, so we're going to have a little echinacea vibe going on in the backyard. My goal is to make our garden like a rainbow has vomited on our house, like our area, our land, and for the vast majority of the garden to be edible. But if not edible, it's just beautiful to look at. Like, okay, you can't eat daisies, but daisies are so pretty. Well, you can't eat hydrangeas, but they're pretty. So that's what we're going for. Anyway, so think about it in terms of like if I buy this beautiful echinacea plant and if I plant it in the ground and the soil is really bad, the echinacea plant is going to be there. It'll survive for a few days, but it's going to die, right? Versus if I plant, the echinacea or the basil or whatever it is in really beautiful nutrient dense soil, it's going to flourish, right? And I'm not going to have to do too much for it to flourish. I'm just going to have to make sure that it gets water and then basically that's it, right? And that no animals come and like eat it all up. Like the deer sometimes come and like eat the plants. So we have to have certain plants out the front of the house and then some plants in the back where there's a fence around it. So think about it in terms of the same, think about you and you being able to embrace your femininity in the same kind of way. And for any men listening that are wanting to help her to get more into her submissiveness so that you can really be the masculine, it kind of goes the same way. So you're just going to have to like change some of my words, but you'll get a lot out of this episode as well. So the crux of this is if you want to be submissive and if you want to feel empowered in your submissiveness, the undercurrent of true empowered submissive behavior is confidence. And this confidence lies in the ability to say no. That's the key thing. So, in order for you to even be submissive or feminine or magnetic or whatever, it's not about doing a pile of things. It's actually about firstly clearing away all the things that are making you feel unsafe for that to be your natural state in your body. And then once you've cleared those things that are making your body feel like that can't be its natural state, then you can bring in the action pieces of it, right? Like the naked dancing or the breast massage or whatever it is. Like you can bring those things in and they will stick and they'll be sustainable and you'll do them regularly. You'll integrate them into your life because they're not forced. You're not trying to do them. You're not trying to get into your feminine or you're not trying to be submissive. You just are. That's now your natural state of relaxation. So now when you soften into your femininity, right? Rather than you not being able to soften because there's this masculine protective wall that inhibits you from fully letting go. Because if you were to let go of control, you could be in great danger or somebody could abuse you or hurt you or take advantage of you, etc. So in order for you to actually be in your feminine, or in order for her to be in her feminine, if you're a man listening to this, she or you is going to get confusing. I'm just going to keep it as ladies, right? So you have to be so confident in being able to say no. But when you have fears of rejection, abandonment wounds, people pleasing tendencies, a fawn response. So a fawn response is like people pleasing response. It's like Stockholm syndrome, right? It's like basically your response. And this is learned as a child. Did you guys hear that thunder? Holy fuck. You know when you hear thunder so loud that it actually feels like the sky is breaking? That happened yesterday as well. And I jumped out of my desk chair. I'm not joking. I literally jumped. It was ridiculous. Anyway, so the fawn response is when you've grown up in a situation as a child where you feel like you don't know how people are going to react. What you do as a trauma response to try and give yourself the illusion of safety is, okay, what can I do to make sure that I don't disrupt anybody, that I don't rock the boat, that no one's angry at me? I want to keep everybody happy, right? So if someone says, go and do this thing, even if you're like, no, you're like, yes, okay. And you say yes, you're in this fawn response because you're trying to keep mom or dad emotionally regulated essentially so that they don't go off the walls and then you feel unsafe. So if you have a fawn response, it becomes very hard to be in your feminine. If you're in a constant fight or flight response, if even if you are in the opposite, if you're in a freeze response, if you are completely numbed out and disassociated, you can't drop in. You're not really aware of doing anything because your body is just so tapped out and disconnected, right? If you have this constant wanting to be accepted or this constant need for validation, if you have fear that you're going to be told that you're crazy, I mean, the list could go on. And when you have any or all of these things lodged in your body, right? This is an unconscious or a subconscious way that you are showing up, thing that you're acting from. It's a fear that you have. When you have all of these things, your body's going to be like, hell no to you being submissive to him, or to you being in your feminine, or to you relaxing and releasing control. It doesn't matter if you want to. If you feel like you physically cannot, if it feels like it's dangerous, and even if you logically are like, but Monica, I know it's not dangerous, but I just can't let go. That's the key thing. Because trauma isn't about what you know, it's not about your head, right? Trauma is about your body. It's about the energy and the emotion that is stuck and lodged in your body because of these past situations where you haven't been able to process what's happened in the moment. You've gone straight into a trauma response of fight or flight or freeze or fawn or disassociate or whatever it is. You've gone into this trauma response, keeping all of that energy and that emotion and that fear and that betrayal and whatever else lodged in there. And it's still in there. 20 years later, it's still in there unless you've actually addressed it, which is why you can consciously know all the fucking feminine things to do, but knowing it versus embodying it are two different things. Let me say that again. Knowing something versus embodying something is two very different things. And we so often, on TV and everything, only see the empowered woman, right? She's the cool one, right? She's the one that we idolize. She's not submissive to her man. She either doesn't have one, or she walks all over him, or they don't really show the relationship enough to get like a grasp of like what would their relationship actually be in real life. Maybe they just come across as a power couple. So you're like, oh, I want to be a power couple. So I'm just going to be like her. I'm going to be this girl boss, this cool girl, whatever it is. TV doesn't give us good programming, right? Generally speaking, for most shows, if there is some like submissive woman, it's submissive that is positioned to us in a really negative way. It's submissive that's pushed to us not from a conscious choice to be submissive, but it's like, oh, she's a doormat. So let's just break this down. When I'm talking about this phrase that I've made up of empoweredly submissive, I know empoweredly is not a word, which is why I'm saying this is a phrase I've made up. When I'm talking about being empoweredly submissive, what I'm saying in this is that submissive isn't actually inherently negative. The word submissive has gotten a negative connotation over the years because now people think that if you're a submissive woman, you're a doormat, you're letting him walk all over you, you don't have any power, you don't have any confidence, you don't have any control, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, 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 no. You could be really submissive in a very unempowered way, or you could be really submissive in an empowered way. There's so many different expressions of yourself or ways that you can live, which is a neutral, and you get to decide whether it's positive or negative, right? You could live in a very wealthy way. Now, for some people, that could be like, oh, that's so negative. That's like whatever they're going to say. For other people, that could actually be a really positive thing. It completely depends on the way that you're choosing to live from that word. Majority of things we choose whether it's positive or negative. Let's take anger for an example. Majority of people have a negative connotation about anger. Anger isn't actually inherently bad, right? The emotion anger is not bad, but we've made it bad because of what we associate with anger. Just like we've made submission bad with what we generally speaking associate with submission. But when you are choosing to be empoweredly submissive, what I'm saying in this is that you are actually empowered in your submission, right? You have chosen that. You feel like such a sexy, fucking amazing woman because you don't have to make the fucking decision, right? You actually feel so confident and so magnetic and so turned on and so empowered by being submissive. It doesn't feel like think about it like this, but what can be empowering for one woman can be very disempowering for another woman, right? It could be oppressing for another woman. And for a lot of you, maybe you're coming to this realization that it doesn't feel fucking empowering anymore to choose the date. It doesn't feel empowering anymore to be the one to plan the whole holiday. What actually feels empowering now is being like, I trust you to do it. that could be what's empowering now. And of course, oh, hi, Phoebe girl. And of course, for some other people, depending where they're on in their journey, that could not be empowering for them. So when it comes to you choosing to be submissive, if you are choosing to be submissive with an undercurrent of extreme confidence, right? And it does not need to be this outward extroverted kind of really obvious confidence. There can be quiet confidence. Just because your confidence is really obvious doesn't mean it's actually confident. Doesn't mean you're actually confident. There's plenty of people, I used to be one of them, where confidence is fake, right? They have this facade of confidence, but it's very shallow self-confidence. It's shallow because they're actually doing it as a way to try and protect themselves. They're actually doing it to try and feel better about themselves, but deep down, they're questioning themselves, or they're hating themselves, or they're shaming themselves. This used to be me. I outwardly was very confident at school, but I wasn't inwardly very confident, right? I would be questioning myself, I'd be judging myself, I'd be shaming myself. Now is depending on the situation, depending if I know the people really well or not, I can be less outwardly confident. I can actually be a lot more quiet, but I am very, very deeply self-confident. Now, if I'm hanging out with my best friends, I am very outwardly confident, but but it also now comes with deep self-confidence. I'm not doing it to try and get external approval or validation or to be seen or to be loved or to be enough. So the confidence that's really imperative for that empowered submission is a deep sense of self-confidence. And then the other piece, which I kind of said at the beginning of the episode, is boundaries. Now, a lot of people don't know how to do boundaries. They may know some of their boundaries, but they don't actually know how to express their boundaries in a given moment, right? Because you being able to say to me, oh, Monica, this is one of my boundaries, that's great. But that's completely different to in the moment where the boundary has been walked over or stepped over or crossed. In the moment, you don't actually say the boundary or embody the boundary. You don't actually act the boundary out. They are two completely different kettle of fish. Kettle of fish? That's the right phrase, right? Whatever. It's two completely different kettle of fish. If that's not the phrase, then we're just rolling with it. So so for a lot of people, they actually don't feel safe to let go, whether it's to let go in business, whether it's to let go in their relationship, whether it's to let go in their mind, to let go to the universe. There is an inability to soften and to trust the process because inherently they have this fear of, do I have myself? Can I say no? Can I stand up? Do I know when the limit is of softening and surrendering? So if we were to use your business for an example, if your business was, flailing about and everything was falling to shit, if you are in a state of if you've been in a state of surrender for a long time, being empoweredly submissive in your business, for example, would show as you could ultimately get to a point where you would decide, no, I'm doing something about this. You wouldn't just be like, oh, let's just watch it fucking sink. You would know within yourself that you have a limit, you have a line. It's the same in a relationship. It's not that you have a limit and a line where you now take control in terms of like, oh, you already have this idea in your mind, but it's about the ability to, in a moment, not even pre planned, it's in a spontaneous moment. You are so deeply in tune with your body, your needs, your wants, your desires, your limits, your boundaries, everything, your standards, that in any given moment, whether you know the moment is about to happen or not, right? Whether you preempted it, whether you know what you're doing tomorrow night, in any given moment, you have the nervous system regulation, the emotional regulation, and the ability to actually really live out your boundaries to say no.